How to neaten seams without an overlocker. Welcome to the Sewing Whisperer. This video covers 4 ways to neaten seams if you don't own an overlocker. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Over my 30+ year career in the rag trade, I've taught hundreds of students how to sew, and I look forward to helping you on your sewing journey. Seams that have been left raw will fray and disintegrate with wear and washing. Most clothes are neatened with an overlocker or serger, which gives a very durable professional finish. If you don't own an overlocker, here are 4 ways to neaten seams with a standard sewing machine. Method 1 is using pinking shears. Here are 2 examples of seams neatened with pinking shears. The first example on the right has been sewn with a wider seam of 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch and has been pressed open, and the center example has been sewn with a narrow seam of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch and pressed to one side. The pinking shears have this zigzag knife edge. You can purchase them at most haberdashery stores, or you can see the link in the details below. To use the shears, just cut near the edge of the fabric and line up the bumps with the previous cut as you continue cutting along the edge. This method is pretty simple but doesn't withstand the same amount of wear and tear as the next 3 methods. The seam will eventually fray if the garment is washed and worn a lot. Method 2 is a zigzag stitch. On my machine, I've set the stitch type to zigzag with the length set at 2 and the width at 3.5. As the needle comes to the right, it's just falling off the edge of the fabric. That stitch is quite firm and is strong enough to withstand most wear and tear. If you'd like the seam to look a little more like overlocking, you can put your machine back to a standard straight stitch and sew along the left edge of the zigzag. I personally don't feel it's necessary. It would be just for looks because the zigzag stitch is strong enough on its own, but you can see it does look a bit more like overlocking with the extra row. Method 3 is using a serger or overlocker style stitch on your machine. In my case, it is stitch number 18, which is called a double overlock stitch in my manual. Check your manual to see which stitch is recommended for neatening seams. The settings I've used on my machine are a length of 2 and a width of 5. As with the zigzag stitch, when the needle comes to the right, it's just falling off the edge of the fabric. It gives a very professional finish, but does use a lot of thread, although probably not as much as an overlocker would. Both sides look very neat and the seam would not fray with wear and tear. Method 4 is straight stitch neatening. If you intend to use this method, I would recommend using a wider seam allowance of 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch and press the seam open. Fold one edge over narrowly towards the hidden side of the seam. You could also press this beforehand, but I just let my fingers do the work. Sew along the center of the fold to secure the edge in place. That's the first edge neatened. Now let's repeat to the other side. Here is the finished seam. It does look quite nice as a finished technique. It can be quite bulky if you're using a thick fabric though. These 4 methods are quite acceptable as a finish for making garments. If you would like to eventually make and sell garments, then you will need an overlocker to produce a more professional finish. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video where I'll be showing you how to unpick seams safely.